Hi there, Partnership Realty Realtors and all of our great guests. How you doing? I'm Ismael Alvarez, the broker of Partnership Realty. Back with you guys. I'm very glad to see you here with us. Today we're actually doing another segment which has to do with appraisals. Very important in our lives, realtors, because appraisals sometimes they do come in at the appraised values, and other times they come below appraised values. So we're going to talk about appraisals today. We're going to talk about CMAs. We're going to talk about market analysis. We're going to talk about what we're going to do if the appraiser comes in below the market value. We're going to talk about rebuttals. We're also going to talk on how to estimate a value of a home. And even if we do the rebuttal, how do we go about it? So we got many different steps. We got many different steps on going over. And the good thing about this, guys, that these classes right now, they're live through Facebook, they're live through YouTube, but they stay recorded. So again, when you go to Facebook, hit like, and when you go to YouTube, hit subscribe. That way you guys can see all of our upcoming classes, and that way you can watch the same video in YouTube until you can get really familiarized what the steps of an appraiser is. Now, you're probably asking yourself, listen, Ismael, I'm a realtor. What do I need to know, the steps of being an appraiser? Well, you do, absolutely. Because in many cases, we've had appraisers that are they're overwhelmed with work. They have a lot of work going on. And sometimes they overlook good comparables in the subject neighborhood that they could have used to give us a better appropriate value. And sometimes the value might come in $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, but us as the realtors, when we know what we're doing, we just go back in there, we will find these comparables, we will find these comps, and sometimes we'll go into whatever county we're at, the property appraiser's office, and these are public records to where probably this sale did not take place through, through the MLS system. So it wasn't recorded in the MLS, but it's still in public records. So you're going to find the same or something similar to the subject property with the same square footage, same neighborhood. And we're going to go over all of that today. But right now, I want to start talking about appraisals here. So appraisals and CMA, that's our class for today. Again, if you guys have any questions, do email us in, and we'll be happy to answer at the end of the class any questions that you guys might have with the concerning the appraisals. But what is an appraisal? It hasn't changed. Even when you guys got your FREC 1 course, your FREC 2 course, your broker's license, it's an opinion of value. It truly is. Because you can get one appraiser to do an appraisal on a property. You'll get a second appraisal, same property, third appraisal on the same property, and all three of them are going to come in different. You're going to say to yourself, well, how's that going to be possible? It's the same neighborhood, same property, and you've got three different appraisals. Why? Because it's nothing more than an opinion of value. And we're going to go over opinion of value a little more thorough in a short while. But we want to go over FHAs and truly the misconception that people have, that realtors have, of an FHA appraisal. They think, or they'll see it, and you'll see it in the MLS report, where they'll say that they don't want any FHA appraisals, only conventional appraisals, okay? Well, there is no difference between a conventional appraisal and an FHA appraisal. They are the same guidelines. You still have to have the AC unit in there. You still have to have the water heater. You're still going to have the kitchen cabinets, a operable sink, whether it's in the bathroom, whether it's in the kitchen. Everything's going to be there. The refrigerator, the range, everything's going to have to be there. No broken windows. Sometimes when it's an REO or a government home, a HUD home, you'll see that they winterize the home and they'll put a plywood out there. There are certain things that won't pass. And just because it's a conventional doesn't mean that it's more lenient. It's not. They're identical as far as the guidelines and criteria. They're identical. What's the difference though? Okay, on an FHA appraisal, the owner of that property has to be titled, okay, for 90 days. They must be titled. So the title has to be seasoned for 90 days in order to go with an FHA appraisal. So if you're going to write up a contract on a property, and you're going to go to a property appraiser's office, and you're going to see that the owner's only owned it for like 30 days, 90 days, or 60 days, we would need to wait to the 91st day to write up the contract, get the escrow deposit, and get the ball rolling with that, okay? Why? Because FHA really wants the owner to be, owner of records, seasoned for 90 days. Why? Because an FHA appraiser is more lenient, sorry, not an FHA appraisal. The FHA guidelines are more lenient on the actual borrower or borrowers. So that means that the credit criteria could be less. That means that maybe, the debt to income ratios could be higher. There's a lot of variables where a conventional loan is a little bit more stricter to an FHA, okay? So truly, the borrower, when you do an FHA appraisal, you're opening up your doors to a lot of more buyers, more possible buyers, to where a conventional appraisal, you're only limited to those ones that fall within the guidelines, okay? Which they call the matrix, okay, in the lending world. But under an FHA appraisal, it opens the door up to more buyers. The only thing us as realtors that we need to know about, what is it? Well, how long has the owner been entitled? So now there's a way around that. If and a lot of these investors, this has to do with investors. It truly doesn't have to do with new constructions, REO, or government homes. Not at all. Anything that's new construction, no seasoning of title, REO, or government homes, has to do with flips. But a lot of these investors will buy these properties and they are turnkey. They're absolutely beautiful, from new roofs to new AC units, all the appliances, the kitchen cabinets, the bathrooms, the flooring. Oh my God, they're turnkey, okay? So me as a buyer, if I really want that property and I don't want to wait 90 days to get that property, well, what can a buyer do? Very simple. A buyer can pay for two appraisers, pay for two appraisers, right? Two appraisals, okay? So the buyer is going to pay for one appraisal normally, but the second appraisal, which is required by FHA, the second appraisal, okay, has to also be paid by the buyer. Me as the buyer, I will pay an additional $500 if I know that property that I'm buying, it's got $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 of renovation. Are you kidding? I'll pay $500 any day of the week to buy a home that is actually turnkey, to where I might buy a home and I got to spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to renovate the home. So don't have your clients lose out on a turnkey home, which is immaculate, because it's only been titled for less than 90 days. Do explain the pros and the cons to your buyer, okay? And tell them, sir, ma'am, folks, if it's worth it to you, pay an additional appraisal. Now, the lender's going to look at both appraisals and they're going to go with the lesser of the two. But again, the property hopefully will appraise, okay? So that's truly, truly, truly the only difference and the misconception that realtors of other office, not Partnership Realty, of other office, have to thinking, oh no, we want a conventional appraisal because it's more lenient. No, it's not. It's the same guidelines. It's the same guidelines. So basically, it's just that the buyer has to pay a second appraisal, but geez, they're saving what, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000? That's a lot of money. So let's talk about a conventional loan. A conventional loan, conventional appraisal, there's no seasoning of title, okay? But the lending criteria for your borrower It's more stricter, higher credit scores, debt to income ratios have to be lower. Things are more placed in line. So they're okay. They are perfectly okay because they feel that the borrower is more secured, a little bit more stable, okay? Everything looks more in line. So they're okay with the collateral being seasoned for less than 90 days. VA loans. VA loans, people again have a little bit of a confusion to where they think that there is no appraisal required. There is an appraisal required for a VA loan. So a veteran can actually buy a home with just, the appraisal fee and maybe the inspection fees. The difference is that they don't have to put any money down. It's 100% financing, okay? But remember, when your buyer goes to buy a house, it's not just the down payment. There are closing costs. So if your buyer, your veteran, your VA buyer, who's got a certificate of eligibility, okay, when your buyer is buying a home, you guys have to keep in consideration, and always remember, there's down payment, which is zero down because it's guaranteed by the Veterans Administration, okay? But you have closing costs. That's why they need us, the realtors, to negotiate a seller contribution in there to get the seller to help out with the closing costs. And now, truly, our VA veteran is going to be able to buy this home with very little money out of pocket. Because buying a home nowadays with $500 to $600, $700 out of pocket, that's like, you can't even buy a car for that money down. I guess you could nowadays. They got great financing for cars right now. So VA loans, here's something that you guys got to keep in mind. Do know this, it changes per every county. What is the VA loan? It's $380,000 here in Palm Beach County. So if you've got a borrower, so you don't waste your time, the lender's time, and so forth, if you've got a buyer that wants to buy a home for $400,000, $450,000, well, they can. It's just the loan amount's only going to go up to $380,000. They can put the difference down. But that defeats the purpose of a VA loan. That defeats the purpose because the VA loan is where the borrower has to put very minimum money down. Okay, so you guys have to keep in mind anything above $380,000 as a loan amount. In Palm Beach County, every county varies. Okay, but in Palm Beach County it's $380,000. That's very important for you guys to know. All of this that you're looking at here is extremely important. Now, it's a lot to capture. This is like a basic class on appraisals, okay? It's a lot to capture. Remember, you guys can go back this afternoon or any day afterwards or any evening or any time and watch this same class all over again through YouTube. Now, remember to click on subscribe on YouTube so you guys can, just repeat the class until you get very, very familiar with the class. Hi there.
Hi, I have a question. Do you have to be a veteran to get a VA loan?
You absolutely do. You've got to have what's called that certificate of eligibility, And a veteran means you have to be honorably discharged as well, too. Yes, you do. By the way, we know your name. I know you're a realtor here with us, but I'd like to introduce you to our audience. And where are you from, and what areas do you specialize in?
My name is Fred Gordo. I'm from
Hi, Fred.
Puerto Rico originally, and I'm working mostly the Broward County
Area?
Yeah,
Phenomenal area. Yeah, phenomenal area in Broward County. Broward-Dade it's a great area. Property values are up a lot. But you can still find a lot of great deals over there,
Yes.
So, yeah, that Broward County area. So how long have you been in real estate?
I'm fairly new. I only been for 3 months now.
Oh, my God, that's right. I remember Ruthie Savatella
Yes.
introduced you, brought us over here. Phenomenal realtor, Mrs. Savatella. How are you? And thanks for referring Fred over to us over here. But yes. So the Broward County, that Weston area, Plantation, oh, my God. A lot of new construction,
Yes.
a lot of exciting things happening towards that whole area. Again, any other questions, just feel to just blunt right on in. So let's talk about an FHA here. You need to know, again, that our loan amounts are different, okay, are different from Palm Beach County to Broward to Dade to Martin County, St. Lucie, and the Indian River, Osceola, and so forth, Orange County. They're all different. But right now we're talking about Palm Beach County, so I want you guys to know what a primary residence that an FHA loan can do, okay, what a primary residence loan amount would be. So here we have, okay, a single family home in Palm Beach County. You can go up to $373,750,000. This is with minimum down. If your client's got more money down, they've got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, of course they could buy more, but the loan amount is restricted in Palm Beach County to $373,750. Duplex are also done by FHA loans because the borrower can live on one side and then the other one they can rent it. Now a duplex goes up a little bit more. That's $478,450. That's the loan amount. Triplex, that means there are 3 units, but the borrower or borrowers can live on one of them and rent out the other 2. Okay, so the loan amount on that is $578,350. So FHAs will also go up to a 4-plex. And a 4-plex loan amount is like almost over $750,000. Look at that, $378,750. This is what you guys have to know as realtors, okay, that these are the loan amounts allowed, but the borrower can come in with, say, $100,000 down so they can buy a $800,000 or more a property as long as they've got the down payment. That's just the loan amount. What's the difference in a 4-plex? Well, here's a 4-plex. I'll give you an example right here. There are 4 units there, and the homeowner is going to live in, the buyer is going to live on 1 unit, and he's going to rent out the other 2 or 3 units. Now, anything above a 4-plex, a 5-plex, all of that is an income-producing property, so that is a completely different loan. So the down payment is totally different on a 5-plex and multifamily. So that's considered an income-producing property. So conventional loans, again, you guys need to know this as well too. On a single-family home, it's $484,350. Now look at this. On a single-family FHA, it's $373,750, but on a conventional loan, it's more money. Why? As I mentioned earlier to you guys, okay? A conventional loan, it's a little stricter on the borrower. They expect a little better credit score, they're more stability on the job, the debt-to-income ratios are going to be less. So the borrower looks really good. So again, the lenders are not that worried about the collateral. But again, it's the same guidelines. The collateral has to be livable, every window operable, every sliding glass door, the roof, water heater, and so forth, okay? But do keep in mind that everything varies from county to county. Now, what are the appraisal steps? Now, this is going to help you guys also do a CMA, a market analysis. So the ratio is about a mile ratio, a mile and circle, okay? So if we are doing for example, a non-HOA or a specific community, a community that has an HOA that manages that there are rules, there are guidelines, and so forth, okay? Now, these are communities with no HOA. So there are no monthly fees, no quarterly fees. There are no bylaws, no guidelines or anything like that, rules and regulation. So you can go out and you can stretch out for a mile to find your comparables, find your CMAs, okay? This is how you're going to actually determine a value if you're helping a seller or if you're looking at an appraisal that didn't quite come in correctly, okay? So you can actually help the appraiser by supplying comps at the day that they're going to do the inspection. So the day that the appraiser is going to come in to do the home inspection, okay, because they've already done the desk work, you're going to show up there and you're going to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 comparables. Guess what? They probably might have missed a comparable here and there, depending on how busy these appraisers are. They're humans. They could miss 1 or 2 or 3 comparables, but that really makes a difference in making sure that the property comes in at the appropriate appraised value. Okay. So what are you going to look at? You're going to look at the actives. You're going to look at the pendings. You're going to look at the contingents, and you're going to look at the closed, the sold. Okay. And you're going to look at all these within the last 6 months. Don't go past 6 months, because that's another market. A year from now, that was a totally different market, okay? So you want to look at them the last 6 months. Now, how do you adjust? How do you adjust to your subject property, okay? For example, if you have a 2,300 square foot property, you might want to go as low as 1,900 or go up or above, like 2,600. But if you have a subject property at 2,300 square feet, you don't want to go up to $3,500. That's a completely different home. Or if you've got a subject property, again, 2,300, you don't want to go down and look at a 1,500 square foot home. They just don't. They're two separate. They're two separate homes. So those are not good comparables. If you do have a property that's 200 or 300 square foot less, or 200 or 300 square foot more, and how do you adjust for it? Well, you add or subtract. So you're going to add or subtract if it's got a pool, if it's got a family room, it's got a great room, if it's got additional bedrooms, if it's got a garage, or if it doesn't have a garage. Now, how do you guys, since you guys aren't appraisers and you're just starting out, what's the calculation or the dollar amount that you should be using? I would say that it always varies between $5,000 to $10,000. And I understand, like I had a question at the earlier class to where, the pool costs $30,000 and the appraiser's only giving it a $10,000 value. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. I know that you can't build that pool at $10,000, but that's the adjustment. So what numbers do I recommend that you guys use? Well, don't use $5,000, don't use $10,000. Go in the middle. Go about $7,000 to $8,000. So you either add or you remove, okay? Because if it's got one less bedroom, then you're going to take out $7,000. If it's got one extra bedroom, then you're going to take out. And remember, everything is based on square footage. Key important here with this one here. Everything is based on square footage, because if you've got a home, for example, that's 2,000 square feet, and for example, all the other ones are 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, but this particular home has 5 bedrooms, 2 bath. It's not like they're going to really add a lot to those bedrooms. It's the square footage. They're going to go off the square footage, not the bedrooms, because the bedrooms are now going to be reduced to small. So they're going to go based on the square footage. Okay? So comps in the community. So if you have a community that there is an HOA, that there is a community that has, the rules, the bylaws, and so forth, okay, you need to stick within that community. You need to stick within that community. So you're trying to find all your comparables. Where are you going to find your actives, your pending, your contingents, and your sold, which are also, it'll say closed in the MLS report, but that means sold. So you're only going to look 6 months back, or, something current and recent. But you can go back at 6 months. But what happens if there's not a lot of sales in that particular community? There might be 1 or 2. Well, it's okay to go to the nearby community. Go to the community next to them within a mile radius, okay? So we need about 6 comparables. So we want to get, say we only have 2 or 3 in our subject community. So we can go outside and get 2 more of the same property, with the same characteristics in the home. So it's really important to know this. So this is all within a 1 mile radius, not 1 mile going north, 1 mile, so within a 1 mile radius. Where is it different that the 1 mile doesn't take place? Well, it happens in the acreage, okay? So if you're selling a property that has, you know, an acre, 2.5 acres, 3 or 4 or 5 acres or something like that, then you are allowed to go up to, you know, 5 miles to find a comparable to this 3.5, you know, property that you're selling that's got, you know, a huge storage, you know, room, house. I mean, it's got the home and mother-in-laws or a guest quarters and things like that. So you can go up to 5 miles. Where do you go above 5 miles? Farmland. Farmland. Anything with, you know, 10 acres or more, that's farmland. We can go and find comparables within 10 to 15 miles. So that's the only occasions that you're going to be going out of the 1 mile radius. It's going to have to be in the acreage or, you know, farmland, things like that. And it doesn't have to be farmlands. It could be an equestrian, you know, 5 acre, 10 acre equestrian, you know, residential neighborhood as well too. But, you know, you'll go out and find it, the uniqueness, because it might have a, you know, stalls to where we've had them, that we've sold them here with 74 stalls here at the Polo Club, okay? So we try to find the uniqueness, and we can go out and find these comparables, you know. Now, let's talk about CMAs. CMAs are very important when you are determining the value. When you're determining the value to you know, a listing that you're going to be picking up a listing and so forth. So this market analysis is very, very important to have. So again, the 1 mile radius does stand, or you know, the 5 miles or the 10 to 15 miles, all that holds. So we want to look at the actives again, pendings, and we want to look at the sold. Now, when we look at them within the last 6 months, these are the key factors that you got to look in there. When you look at the actives, you got to look at the square footage. Extremely important. Okay. Then look at how many days it's been on the market. If it's been a lot of days, 120 days, would you say the property's a little overpriced? Could be. Okay. But if you're looking at the pendings and sold, and the property sold within 3 to 4 days, 5, 6 days, 12 days, well, maybe it was at a very good price point. So when you're taking up this next listing, I think we could ask a little bit more, because truly it sold truly fast. Within 5 or 6 days, you know, that leads to tell me that I think it was sold either at market value, where there were no other properties available at that time. They were lucky they were the only ones, okay? But, you know, if there are 4, 5, 6, you know, 12 other properties, and this went under contract in 4 to 3 days or 5 days, then guess what? It was the lowest price one, so it was below price. So you really need to look square footage. You need to look at the days on the market. And one more thing that I did not put in there, okay? Go into photos and look at the conditions. Does your subject property have an updated kitchen, updated bathrooms, new roof, new AC unit, you know, a water heater, the flooring, and does the comparables not have it? All of that plays a variable as well too, okay? So I've had many, many occasions where I've had sellers that have said, Ismael, you know, we have strong, you know, emotional attachments with our property. This used to be my grandparents' home. This used to be my mom and dad's home. This, you know, so we've done many upgrades, and we've planted many things. We've done many things to these properties here with a lot of love, a lot of value. And you will be surprised, and I cannot tell you how many numerous times throughout the years and years and years, and Partnership Realty's been open for 22 years, okay, that I've been seeing this and hearing this, where where realtors have come to me and they've said, you know, they're asking too much. They want $50,000, $75,000 above market value. You're right. They're probably asking too much, but here's what's going to happen. Someone's going to come in there and they're going to appreciate exactly what that seller has and the love they got for it, the area, what it's got to offer. The location is very important because they can have family members, parents, grandparents next door, and they have no issues, okay, spending $30, $40, $50, seen them up to $75,000 more. Why? Because they want to be next to mom and dad and grandparents. And I've seen, you know, in a certain community where there are so many family members in there, and they're not going to lose that property because that property has a lot of upgrades. And even if it didn't have it, if you've got to pay $10,000, $15,000 next to your loved one, it'll work. In some cases, others want to be 10,000, 15,000 miles away from the loved ones. I don't know what the case may be. But if you're one of those that you want to be next to your loved one, I'll pay $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Do you want to be, are you the 15,000 miles away, or are you the $15,000 closer? I don't know. You know, so it all depends on us and your relationship and so forth. But if your seller says to you, you know, Ishmael, regardless of what that appraisal comes in at, I want to hold, and I want whatever I'm asking, what we listed the property for. So we're going to show you guys in a minute where to find this document, but it's called an appraisal, appraisal substitute addendum. What that is saying is, and this is what you have to make sure of, that before you go into contract, and your seller was very clear to you, that, you know, they're not going to take anything below what the asking price is, regardless of what the appraisal came in at. So you need to get that document signed, and we also need to ask the buyer's agent, hey, does your seller have the additional $30,000 or $40,000 in case it comes below? If they say yes, then you want this addendum to be signed, okay, and be part of your package. And where do you find this addendum? It's in our MLS, under our Form Simplicity, under Form Packages. Can we show it real quick here? So we're going to show you here real quickly. Okay, we're going to open up the MLS. And you go into your Form Simplicity. Right there, it's your Form Simplicity. And you're going to go to Forms and Packages. And then you're going to go to Buyer's Package or Sellers, either or. So let's go to Buyers. And you go all the way down, and you're going to find the Appraisal Substitute Addendum. There it is. So you click on it, there it is, right there. Appraisal Substitute Addendum. So it's in your MLS. You don't have to track for it. You don't have to look for it. You just go into their buyer's package or your listing package from Partnership Realty of ours, we know our realtors, and you're going to find the actual document. Thank you for showing it. So again, that is something that I've had so many times that I've heard individuals come in and I know the property appraised for a little bit more. They have no issues buying it, but you need to have that document in there so it's not going to cause any problems, you know, or stress between the buyers and seller at the time of closing. Okay. What if the property doesn't appraise? Okay. Well, we can do a rebuttal. What is a rebuttal? Well, a rebuttal is exactly how I showed you how to come up with the market analysis, CMAs, and how to determine a value in different communities. Okay? And one of the things you want to find is you want to find these closed properties. Again, with what? The last 6 months. I'll tell you what happens with a lot of appraisers. Sometimes they're really busy and they're human just like we are. We make mistakes, starting with me. I'm the first one. I make mistakes daily. Okay? So they can make a mistake and overlook one or two comps. But you guys are there to send it in and say, look, there are some, you missed these comps. There's some really good comps. You're going to provide it to your lender. Your lender's going to provide it to the appraiser, and that'll take care of that. Now, what if you're representing a seller and the property value comes in, let's say $50,000 below, you know, the sales price? Well, it's in the seller's best interest, I would think, if I was the seller. okay, that I would pay for an additional second appraisal, even a third appraisal through the lender, second and third appraisal through different companies, because again, remember, what is an appraisal? An opinion of value. So you're going to have 3 different appraisers, 3 different appraisals, and all 3 of them are going to come in differently. What's the lender going to do? They're going to average them out, and you know, they're going to take the average of all 3 of them. So once they average them out, and I've seen it up to 3 appraisals in many occasions throughout my entire career, and I've seen appraisals go up between $10,000 to $20,000, $30,000. I will tell you guys one thing, me as a seller, I'll pay any day of the week, I'll pay $1,000 out of my pocket to get an additional $20,000, okay? Or $30,000 or $15,000 any day of the week. Because why? Again, an appraisal is nothing more than an opinion of value. So you're going to get 3 appraisers, and all 3 appraisers are going to come in with 3 different, you know, with 3 different versions of what they think is the value on that property. So that makes a lot of sense, okay, when you guys are negotiating a you know, an appraisal that did not come in and it came in below the price of the purchase contract. So if the buyer doesn't have the money, you know, a seller doesn't want to reduce it, it's well worth paying for these second and third appraisals, okay? Now, what's another option that we could do, okay, besides paying for additional appraisal, which, you know, incur other costs? Well, the realtors can come together and put this deal together to help our buyers and sellers achieve their goal, sell their property, buy their new home, okay? So we can help on contributing with our commissions, okay? And if you get other people involved, other agencies, you got lenders, you got title companies, and everybody comes together. The buyer might bring a little bit more, seller will drop a little bit. One realtor will give a little bit of their commission, and the other listing agent will give a little bit more of their commission. The buyer's agent, you know, get everybody to chip in. And I cannot tell you how many times we've had appraisals that have come in, you know, lower, and we've put it together, we've closed, because we are a team here to work together to help who? Our community, to put this deal together one way or the other. We're going to do our best to make sure that this does close. So very rarely do we ever lose an appraisal. I mean, I think the only way I'll lose an appraisal is, like, for example, one example we had where the appraised value came in at $100,000 less. Yep, I think we might have a problem on that one there. You know, I don't think we make enough commission to say, oh, here's 50. I don't know. You know, well, I mean, yeah, could be. You know, if we're looking at high-end homes, but we're talking homes, you know, $300,000, $400,000, things like that. But on high-end homes, yep, it could happen, and it's the same scenario on anything, you know, that are high-end homes considered, you know, $750,000, $1 million or more going up. Of course, that can happen. And guess what we're going to do? Renegotiate the whole thing as I just showed it here. So, you know, our goal is to actually make this come together. Okay? The rebuttal is very easy to do. And it's something that you guys should do your homework at all times. A lot of our realtors, they will go and meet the appraiser at the time of inspection at the property, and they'll have 3, 4, 5, or 6 comps. Some of the comps will be in the MLS, and others will be through whatever county we're at, through the property appraiser's office, because it didn't close. Since it didn't close through the MLS, but there are a lot of public sales that we can go in there and find them, and we'll bring them in there. Again, remember, keep the square footage in mind and so forth. So we're very glad that you were with us again here at this appraisal and CMA episode. We have other episodes coming up. And thank you once again, and look forward to seeing you guys very soon.